Donovan Mitchell is an unstoppable player. It's not because he's the fastest or tallest guy. He's simply unstoppable because everything he does has meaning and puts pressure on the defense. In this video, I'll not only be breaking down to you guys how Donovan Mitchell does it, but also how you guys can incorporate some of his play styles into your own game. The first thing I want to point out about Donovan's game is how he's able to use deception to create advantages and be a threat. So right here, he's able to hit Allen on the lob. But if you go back and look at that, so he comes off the screen tight. He gets into a little hesitation step back, so Cat has to step up there because he thinks Don's about to shoot it, so he steps up, and then he's able to make that simple read. And he's a threat there on the scoring, which also gets his teammates open for some easy buckets as well. That's another key thing is that if you're able to be a threat on the playmaking end and hit your teammate when they're open and make those simple passes, then they're also a bigger threat on the offensive end because teams will know that they can't send as much help, and that'll give you more space and more time to get your buckets. Basketball is a game of being able to make these quick second reads. As we see in this next play, Donovan gets the handoff from Dean. He sees that Josh Hart, the switch defender, has a hand down. What does he do? He makes the simple read. He takes a three-pointer. He's able to knock it down, build some rhythm, and going into the game. I want to go back to this play really quick. I want you guys to realize that he does get a bit of a double here. OG kind of doubles him a little bit, and he definitely could have kicked this to Merrill for an open shot, but what makes Donovan so great is that he's an aggressive score-first player. So his first thoughts is, I have just as good of a look because neither of the two defenders around me have a hand up. So what does he do? He just takes that shot. He says, Merrill would have been a great look, but he trusts himself to take that shot, and he has confidence, and he knocks it down. And that's the next thing I really want to talk about is how confident of a shooter Mitchell is. You know, he doesn't just shoot because he's open. He shoots because he wants to apply pressure to the defense, right? He wants to be a threat at all times. And when he notices defender is lacking, he pulls the shot. And this also creates advantages for him in the future because if they know he's going to shoot, then they got to get a hand up, and then it creates lanes for you. It creates easier drives, and it just makes the game a lot easier for yourself all around. And that's the biggest piece of advice I give to people that struggle getting their rhythm going early on in games, or just in games in general. Is just really just be a confident shooter. Take the shots that you know you can make. Miss or make, take open shots. They will fall. Even if you do miss them early on in a game and you shoot them with intent, the defense will notice that and they will step up, and that'll create lanes for you later on in the game. The thing that makes Donovan Mitchell the biggest threat is how he's able to really get downhill and be physical. So right here we see straight line drive. He bumps into Bridges and is able to get a really nice finish. But let's go back. So right here he sees that Brunson has to stay glued to Garland because Garland's a shooter, right? So he's not getting much help from Brunson there. So he knows he's pretty much got a straight line drive, and he knows that if Josh Hart helps, that he can dump it off to Allen. So right here, first he kind of goes wide a little bit, and then he takes that straight line, bumps Bridges. Bridges is in a bad defensive position. He gets one more bump. Bridges is in no position to block that or contest at all. And he's able to get a really nice layup just because of the work he did early and how physical he was on that drive. On this next play, Donovan Mitchell is able to, again, use his physicality to get a really easy bucket and make the game simpler for himself. So let's go back. The first thing I really want to point out on this is how tight he comes off the screen. So watch. He gets the screen. He comes off it tight, making Bridges switch, right? And then he already has the advantage. And then look at Mitchell Robinson. He notices in a terrible defensive position. What does he see? He sees a lane right here. So he attacks that strong, sees Robinson recover a bit, so he gets a nice bump on him, gets him off his base, and is able to finish over him, all because of his physicality. And then another thing I really want you guys to notice is how physical he is with that off arm. So look how much he kind of swiped Robinson there. Refs are not going to call that, so really get good at using your off arm to combat the defender. On this next play, I really want you guys to notice on how he attacks the rim so straight on these drives, right? So it's all simple things that you guys can all apply to your own game. So look, he gets it here. He's right into Brunson, right? He's initiating the contact, right? He's not scared of contact. He wants contact. And then he gets the two. He's nice and balanced. He can kick it out if he needs to, right? And he's able to go up. But it's all because he's balanced and controlled, and he's ready for the contact. He's seeking the contact, right? He's not surprised when someone fouls him. Another thing that Donovan Mitchell does really well to always be a threat on the court is he doesn't have any wasted dribbles, right? He always is dribbling with a meaning, with a purpose, right? So what I mean by that is he's never over dribbling or doing too much, right? A lot of players will get sped up and try to do too much in the offensive end. Just slow down, use your dribbles with meaning, right? If you're in a one-on-one situation, look, do one quick move and you're getting by, right? One quick move and go. Nothing crazy, simple basketball, and really just comes down to the fundamentals and being able to get to your spots and take the shots that you can make. This especially applies more at the high school or college level because you really don't have the ball in your hands that much, right? Like 5 seconds at a time max. So it's really about just using your dribbles with the most purpose and not over dribbling because you don't have time to over dribble. You don't have time for that. And that's something I really want you guys to all understand is that if you're always fast, then you're slow, right? Because the defense, you're predictable, right? You're always going 100 miles per hour. They're always gonna guard you going at that level. But if you control the pace and you go slow for a second, they think you're relaxed, they relax, and then all of a sudden you're 100 miles per hour and you're blowing by them, then you get very unpredictable. And that's what really comes down to just deception and being able to make your defender overthink and really just make it harder for them. This next player here is a clear example of why Donovan Mitchell is such a threat to get downhill. And that also means that defenders always have to help on him because he's so aggressive getting downhill that defenders always have to help. And that means an easy kick out and it makes his teammates' lives, frankly, a lot easier. All right, here we go on this next play. Gets a little fake screen from Merrill, comes off it, gets a really nice hezzy pull. So I really want to go back and emphasize how he's always trying to get downhill, right? He's trying to be aggressive and get downhill, constantly apply pressure to the defense, right, and be a threat. But right here, he uses that to advantage. He stops on a dime, and his defender's always expecting him to drive. So when he stops on a dime, he's already at an advantage. He does a hezzy like he's going to drive again, and then he gets into a really nice pull-up that he's able to knock down. Here we go on this next play. Gets into a spin move, able to get straight downhill again like we talked about and get to two and finish. Another thing I really want to point out on these straight line drives is just how he's never getting rid out by the defense, right? He's never getting bullied out because he has a low, controlled, and strong base, and he's able to always get those straight line drives that he wants, and he's able to always find space because of that. And then obviously he ends it with a really nice finish. I think that's the main thing I want you guys to take away from this video is to just be ultra aggressive on the offensive end and really just make defenders always guessing where you are, what you're going to do, and just always making it tough for them, right? Because that's the main thing is just always applying pressure on the defense and making it harder for them. And then obviously things will come easier for you too. So I think that's the main thing I want you guys to all take away from this video is just being ultra aggressive on offense and always applying pressure and always making the defense guess what you're going to do and constantly being a threat to score, a threat to pass, a threat to do anything on the offensive end because that makes the defense really second guess what you're going to do.